Okay, so now that you have your eyeballs, let's talk about how to make teeth. Um, what we're going to do to make teeth, if you look at this, is it is a jagged shape, right? So you should think about what tool you know does that. And hopefully you remember, possibly you remember, the polygon tool. The polygon tool is the tool that lets us draw funny shapes, but it's not going to give us this curved shape. So what we basically have to do is somehow combine the polygon tool and use the marquee tool both. So let's start first with the polygon tool. And I'm going to start by making my shape, and if you should remember, you click and then it pins it down and you move to the next spot you want and you click, 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 and make your teeth however you want. But I can't make the curved shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go up here and I can make a kind of squared off shape. And I'm going to go back to where I started from. We're going to have to cut that piece off later. And once I get back to where I started from, it turns into the marquee. It's not a marquee until you've gone all the way around and defined your shape. Otherwise, it's not really a shape until you've closed it, meaning you've gone all the way around and end up back where you started from. And I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to fill it. And fill it whatever color I want my teeth to be. I'm going to make red, bloody-looking teeth. You can do whatever color you want. And now I've got my red teeth. But this is a very awkward shape. So I'm going to deselect my selection, which is Command D, or Select, Deselect. And how do I cut off a curved shape to look like the top of the mouth? Well, this should look familiar from the last lesson. It's the same way we did the eyeballs. I'm going to go and I'm going to draw a marquee tool that is the shape of the curve that I want. Now, I'm just trying to get this top curve, right? That's the top of my teeth. I think I'm going to go for something even more big. I'm just trying to figure out what is the shape I want for the very, very top here, because I'm going to cut out whatever is outside of this marquee shape. So once I've got the oval drawn the way I want, just like we did the eyeballs, you're going to select the inverse and hit delete. And now we have some pointy teeth. And you can do that any shape that you want. And I can now draw another set, or I could duplicate what I just did if I want the same thing top to bottom. Just to show you again how to duplicate, I'm going to duplicate rather than drawing bottom set, although bottom teeth usually look different than the top teeth. But just a reminder about how to duplicate. I'm going to right click, duplicate layer, and I'm going to go to my move tool. It duplicated it, but it's right on top of the other one. And then I'm going to need to rotate it. Edit, and I can either transform it and flip it vertically, which is just going to flip it over, or I can rotate it 180 degrees, whichever way you want. And I now have bottom teeth that I can do however I want. I'm actually going to cut this little piece off over here by just creating a polygon shape. And hitting delete. I missed a piece. It's easier if you zoom in. I'm not going to worry about that for now. And that's how I did the teeth. You can do it however you want. They're very large. Mine looks a little bit like a duck monster. Okay, so now I want to show you how to do the eyebrows. There are some cool things for making monsters, some shapes that are baked into Photoshop that are ready to use that are helpful for making monsters. Most of them are kind of silly, but in this case they can prove to be a little bit useful. So I'm going to go all the way down, down, down on my toolbar, and right above the hand, yours probably looks like a polygon tool. It's where we made a triangle when we were doing the shapes activity. If you click and hold that down, you go to the custom shape tool. I think it looks a little like an amoeba. So you're going to go to the custom shape tool, and you'll see a whole bunch of shapes up here that could be actually kind of useful. To get all of the shapes, you go to the drop down. Yours may be a smaller list than mine, but so if you want to see all of the shapes, here I am at the top. I click the drop down, and I go over here. There's a gear, and the gear, if you go to the gear and you select all, it'll show you all of them. And if your window is small like this, all you need to do is go down to the bottom right corner and drag, and it'll open them up. So there's some cool things in here. These are the ones I'm going to use for eyebrows. They can also be used for teeth. These guys are also useful if you wanted to create something that looked like fur. But let's start with the ones that are the eyebrows that I made before. So I'm going to click this one here and pop that back up. Now, what's interesting, and this is actually a preview for what Illustrator looks like, is when I click that, it's a vector shape. And what you see here is that you actually choose your fill and your stroke up here instead of creating the shape and then going to the fill and the stroke. So before I even draw it with this tool, I'm going to choose what color I want to fill it as. So I'm going to click on my fill, and I'm going to make it that same color red. So actually, if I hover down on my monster, I get something that looks like an eyedropper, and that lets me select the same color as my teeth. And I'm going to just do a black stroke for my stroke. Oops. And I'm not going to make it very big. I'll make it like a 5-point black stroke. And now I just draw, click and drag, and I have my eyebrows. When I'm done, I can rotate them, free transform, put them wherever I like, make them bigger if I want one bigger. And I either hit the checkbox or I can hit return. I kind of like them facing the opposite direction. But if I wanted to, I could flip it vertically so that it looks like I'm going to the transform tool, just like we did with the teeth. Nah, I liked it better the other way. I'm going to transform it and flip it vertically again. I thought it looked better. And I'm just playing with the transform. There we go. I like that one's going up and one's going down. So there you have it. That's how you do it. Other ones that you could use for your monsters, like I'm going back to the custom shape tool. These are kind of fun. They look like fur. So you could use that to create fur for your background, or you could use it to create eyebrows. There's a whole bunch of different textures that you might like. That one's more speckled looking. Whatever makes your monster the way you want it. I will delete those because they do nothing for me. Actually, maybe I'll just make this my nose for the heck of it, just because I'm missing one. And when I'm all done, I'm going to go save this as a JPEG, right? So never save a Photoshop file. You're going to save as, and make sure that under your format, you always choose JPEG from Photoshop when we're working in Photoshop, because PSD files or Photoshop files have all the layers in them and they're really big. So the final way you hand it off to me is save it as a JPEG and then go to Google Classroom and hand it in. Have fun making eyeballs and teeth and eyebrows today.